happening now. This is Wave 3 News.
And let's get to that big breaking news story right now from downtown Louisville. Take a look at this live picture right here. You see a lot of smoke in the sky, and this is coming from the area of 1st and Main Streets. We all know it as Whiskey Row.
Yeah, it's a 2-alarm fire. It's in that area of Doc Crow's and O'Shea's. Let's see if we can go right now to our reporter Theo Keith, who just arrived on the scene moments ago. Theo?
And so have firefighters arrived just moments ago. I'm going to step out of the way and give you a look at this fire that's billowing out of the buildings here. They've shut down traffic here on Main Street, forcing people to divert onto 1st. I have confirmed with Louisville Fire that no one is inside this building that's on fire still.
We understand it started on some of the lower levels, but the fire just continues to burn. Wave 3 News reporter Natalia Martinez out there for us live tonight.
Just a few moments ago, we actually saw huge flames coming out from the back side of the building.
These are those 2 facades only. Behind it's sort of that empty space. And then in these next 3 buildings, which is 111, 113, and 115, this was going to be the 111 Whiskey Row project.
Renovation work began about 2 weeks ago, and so there's a lot of open floor spaces inside the structure where the fire began.
My co-anchor Scott Reynolds joining us live from the scene to fill us in. My goodness, those flames are intense, Scott.
The roof collapsed, and of course that just let these flames, Shannon, shoot through the top of this structure, which is 6 stories on the backside. There was work going on in there today, though the fire department wasn't sure if it might have been torches or power saws or what might have been used in there that could have possibly sparked something that started this fire in the basement, and it has spread to a huge area.
The building is collapsing right behind us. This has just started a couple of minutes ago. We saw the fire move closer towards 1st Street.
The smoke is now showing up on the radar. It actually is detecting that drifting over the Ohio River into southern areas of Indiana. Here's the smoke field. You see downtown on the left. It's a due south wind right into Whiskey Row.
They hope it can be saved as they go on to build restaurants, offices, and also some apartments here on Main Street. We'll have much more, of course, coming up tonight.
Security cameras capture teacher Ashley Silas dragging the 1st grader through the halls of Brooks Elementary School in Bullitt County. She's got one hand on him, the other on her cell phone as the 6-year-old shifts his limp body to his knees while passing fellow students and teachers.
Since he stops and gets in the better grip and then pulls him more.
The boys' parents asked us to hide their identity but didn't hide their emotions as the family walked us through the video.
When you're watching this now, what are you thinking?
I get a sick feeling in my stomach.
The teacher eventually reaches the office with the 6-year-old, one eye on him, the other still on that phone. Investigators measured the distance she dragged the student at 160 feet. That's roughly the length of this entire hallway. The teacher said she had no other choice because the 6-year-old had become disruptive, was threatening another student, and refused to walk on his own. His parents say he is diagnosed with ADHD, but can't take medication because of the side effects, and they're working with the school system to improve his behavior. The teacher later told a 3-member review board, known as the tribunal, that she wasn't harming the student and that the boy was actually enjoying sliding down the hall and being the center of attention. So I asked him about that. Were you having fun when she dragged you through the hall? You're shaking your head no. It wasn't fun? No. She said you were having fun.
No, it wasn't.
The Bullitt County Superintendent fired Silas almost immediately, but that tribunal she appealed to overturned the decision, reducing her punishment to a 7-week suspension without pay for conduct unbecoming a teacher. Now she's back at work, making more than $48,000 a year, reassigned as a floating teacher in classrooms all over Bullitt County. The attorney for the school system said they didn't want to hire her back, but the tribunal appeal system left them no other choice. Is this a broken system, a broken law that needs to be fixed?
In our opinion, it is as it's being implemented today. You're dragging a child 160 feet by his wrist, past his peers and other teachers and a parent who's in the office. I mean, in what world is that okay?
We are following a dangerous situation unfolding right now. Several water rescues this morning. Parts of the interstate shut down as this flooding is really packing a punch.
Preliminary numbers show that there have been at least 20 roads that have been barricaded and blocked down, and so far at least 24 water rescues.
Our live team coverage continues this morning with Catherine Kington. She is live at Goldsmith Lane in Live Drive.
But that has been blocked off because of how high that water is. So that's where you were seeing some of those trucks. This is video we were able to shoot earlier, and you can see these boats that have had to go to the apartment complexes, rescue these people on the first floors.
And to add to the flooding, we now have a major fire at GE Appliance Park now, so you can expect closures along Shepherdsville Road in that area. You're looking at a picture right now live from that area.
A live look from Live Drive. You can see there right in front of you, almost looks like a tornado. I mean, this is just massive.
I just jumped out of the car onto this scene, but this is a massive fire. We do know it's in Building 6. You hear these sirens. Several crews, Oklahoma Fire, is flying down the road as fast as they can to get to this scene. This has turned the sky black. You cannot see the sky. You cannot see through it. We were finally getting some daylight. We were having problems with our roads because of the flooding and the dark light. And the minute it became light, it suddenly went dark again.
Oh my gosh, you can see that right there. Hang on a second, let's zoom in there. You can see the roof just collapsing, 8:23 this morning. The roof collapsing live here on television, Wave 3 News. This huge 5-alarm fire this morning, GE Appliance Park. I mean, this is just absolutely unbelievable. The winds fueling this fire, it is, oh my gosh, it almost stops you in your tracks. Breathtaking to see this. And I want to give you a good indication of the distance. We're seeing this smoke here in downtown Louisville. That's 9 miles away from where this actually is this morning. More than 100 firefighters there on the scene. Notice the white tip of that building looks to be sinking down just a bit. That's because the roof just collapsed.
We have watched as the siding of that building melted away as if it were wax on a candle that drips down. It was that seamless how that was melting, and then it has collapsed inward, and that's when we got the perspective of how big that fire was inside of that building.
Catherine just telling us no one was in the building because it's a company holiday. Absolutely unbelievable. Also finding out this morning that this was called in around 7:30. Christy's pulling up radar right there. You can see what looks like a thunderstorm showing up on radar. I mean, I haven't seen this in the years and years and years that I've been a meteorologist or here on the news.
How are you?
Weddings all have their special rituals.
Good. How are you? Look at you. You clean up pretty good. Sometimes I do.
Things you need.
Those are the shoes you got married in.
And things you don't.
Hold this. I don't need that for this little bit.
For most women, one of the most important of all is their father by their side. Hugh and Emily Campbell are making sure that part happens.
As you all know, Hugh has stage 4 breast cancer, and he has been fighting this disease valiantly for the past 7 years. Hugh's disease has progressed, and there is a possibility that he may not get to walk his beloved daughter down the aisle at her wedding on October 10th.
No groom at this ceremony, but memories that will never be forgotten all the same.
This day is a precaution and a safety net to a huge daddy's girl.
The words exchanged from a father to a daughter.
The woman that you have become has surpassed any expectations that I have ever dreamed.
You, Daddy, have made me who I am today, and for that, I thank you. I love you, and you better keep up the fight. October is only 8 months away. You can't break promises you make. Well, only if God calls.
And I won't.
Emily and Hugh, we hope and pray with you that this day is simply a preview of what you both will be doing in October.
Guarantee it. I love you.
A couple months ago when we first started planning the preview, he had recently lost 40 pounds within 2 weeks. And the prognosis at that point wasn't looking very good.
This safety net ceremony, a chance for father Hugh Campbell to see his daughter Emily in her wedding dress, walk her down the aisle, and have a father-daughter dance, seemed like it had to go forward. Moving the wedding, Emily says, was just not a possibility. Money is too tight. Even the safety ceremony was a strain.
I had to put the dress on my credit card, and I'm a full-time student working on my master's, and I mean, I don't have a job right now, so putting it on my credit card just wasn't a good idea, but I needed it for the event.
And then, just when this family needed it most, a fairy godmother stepped in.
But she wanted to know just, how much your dress was, and she wanted to cover that. And if you've already got enough money from your GoFundMe account, she said use it for whatever you want for the wedding.
Awesome.
So, it's cash. And
oh my gosh. Thank you.
Emily says so much of the reaction to her story has been what her family needs the most.
After the story aired, it's so amazing to see so many people commenting on all the news stories, praying for you, and that's really what we need the most.
They're calling it the most powerful 1-2 punch for a trainer in the Kentucky Derby in like 60 years. Dortmund and American Pharoah. I'm with our racing analyst, Jill Baffert. So she kind of has access to American Pharoah this morning in Dortmund. And you're looking right here at American Pharoah in stall number 28.
Well, good morning to you, Mr. American Pharoah. You're looking pretty good. Here's Jill down here with Dortmund. You jealous too? Yes, you are jealous. Are you faster? Or are you faster? That's the question we're going to have to answer. No? Don't shake your head no. I think you might be faster.
Air 3 flying high above Churchill Downs on this Wednesday of Kentucky Derby week. Guys, let's start off by talking about the horse, Jill, that will be the favorite when the odds finally do come out here at about 6 o'clock, American Pharoah.
Well, with no surprises. If he draws the one post, that could change favoritism on him, but that is American Pharoah.
Big news, American Pharoah draws post number 18, a post that has only produced one Kentucky Derby winner.
Kentucky Derby Day under the Twin Spires. I look at an early morning for the horses who were on the track, and this afternoon the top 3-year-olds in the world will run for the roses.
Victor Espinoza will be boarding up on American Pharoah today. He said he has not even given Pharoah the reins to run as fast as he possibly can.
At Pharoah, he worked, unbelievable the other day. I mean, he's such a good horse, and in Dortmund, he's a fighter. He's solid. So the break is so important.
American Pharoah, he was champion at 2. So far, he's been brilliant at 3. I think he's about to put on a show. I think this is a special, special animal. American Pharoah and Bob Baffert to win the Derby.
Bob Baffert has won the Kentucky Derby 4 times now. His first 3 Derby winners all came here to Baltimore and followed it up with a win in the Preakness Stakes. Can American Pharoah make it 4 for 4? A sign that race time is getting close. The jockey silk's already up here. Will Bob Baffert win the Preakness for the 6th time and the 4th time with a Kentucky Derby winner? When it came time for the race, that's when the heavens opened up. But run they did, especially American Pharoah. Breaking from post 1, he ran away with it, a 7-length win.
So I wanted Mansoom, and he is exactly the Pharoah. He split the Red Sea, he swam through it, and we love him.
The way he ran, it was like poetry in motion.
Bob Baffert gets his 4th shot at winning the Triple Crown. Ahead in New York with a horse who's won the first 2 legs for jockey Victor Espinoza. It's his 3rd shot, including the 2nd straight year. Of course, he was on California Chrome last year. We'll see if they can finish it in New York in 3 weeks.
And here it is. The 37-year wait is over. American Pharoah is finally the one. American Pharoah has won the Triple Crown.
Wait 3 News anchor Shannon Cogan saw the whole thing unfold. She joins us live at Belmont Park. And Shannon, the atmosphere there must be unbelievable.
Just electric here, Myra. After 37 years, we finally have a Triple Crown winner. Everyone knew that we were witnessing a moment of history.
Justin, how about that? A Triple Crown winner.
Oh my God, unbelievable. Greatness, greatness. I'm so happy for the sport. This is all about the horse. I'm so happy for American Pharoah.
Horse racing now has a new superstar, and this figures to continue to build for the next 4.5 months. Don't forget the Breeders' Cup coming up at Keeneland in October.
American Pharoah comes into his final furlong, and he's got a 6-length lead as they come to the wire. A Triple Crown winner, a Breeders' Cup winner, a horse of a lifetime. American Pharoah has won the Breeders' Cup Classic over F&X.
And a warm, wonderful feeling was had by all Goosebumps for 50,000 people.
I think he's getting ready to come out that door.
Hello!
Santa Claus
Good morning, everyone.
is an entertainer,
Take a picture with Santa Claus.
photographer,
Take some close-ups.
distributor,
Okay, you want candy cane with one of mine?
Thank you, kiddo.
intimidator,
Oh, I'm sorry.
regulator,
Everybody back off the carpet, just one at a time.
interpreter,
Hey, how you
Give
doing?
you a hug.
Okay, I didn't know what you wanted to do.
interviewer,
What do you want Santa to bring you for Christmas?
Lala Loopsy Party surprise.
negotiator,
I want a real toy and a gun.
Oh, I don't know about the gun, but we'll get you a toy.
and he's even a cheerleader.
All right.
And I want a toy.
I want you to obey your teachers.
I want Mama to put it.
Everyone wants something from Santa Claus, but what does Santa want for Christmas? No one ever asks that question. Walt Queen had 2 precious gifts, and he wants them back. They were taken from him right here on I-65 downtown back on August 10th of 1989. A speeding trucker crashed and hurled a load of improperly secured cars into oncoming traffic. Walt Queen's 18 and 20-year-old daughters never had a chance. As the man who did it sat in court, convicted of reckless homicide, awaiting a prison sentence, Walt made a stunning announcement.
But today my wife and I release you. We are not angry at you. We do not hate you. We forgive you.
Have we not done that? You know, I believe that over time, anger and bitterness and the pain would have consumed us. Jump. Oh!
Then, long before Walt would play a store Santa and field requests all day, he asked for something. Walt Queen asked the judge to give the man who killed his daughters probation instead of prison time, and the judge granted Walt's wish.
That was liberating for us. We did that for ourselves, not for him. How can we pray, forgive us our trespasses if we don't know how to forgive others?
This is Rebecca Lee.
Hey, Rebecca.
You might think it would be hard to hoist daughters into your lap after yours were taken away, or it might make you a better Santa.
Probably the loss of my girls, the longing for them to be present, the sadness of not ever knowing our grandchildren has increased my capacity for compassion.
Walt Queen is living the most famous Christmas movie ever made. Every day, he's visited by 3 spirits: the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas yet to come.
Our daughters, for me at least, are no longer in our past. Their memories are in our past. But they are in our future. See, they're a part of the great cloud of witnesses that surround us. And that's my hope.
Long ago, Santa Walt learned life can surround us with sorrow. But if we find a way to smile, even when we don't feel like it, good things will come.
Well, I still try to practice forgiveness.
John Bowl, Wave 3 News.
The pursuit you can see is now this car is veering off the road, crossing into lanes. It looks like this may be slowing down. We do not know what the vehicle is wanted for. We will keep you updated, but we are watching this as it is unfolding. This is Dixie Highway. Okay, I'm looking at 4 police cars surrounding him. We've got 2 cars behind. They're running into a parking lot, it looks like. Again, we do not know why this person is running. Looks like maybe running into an apartment, that may be an apartment or a hotel. It's hard to see, but you can see several windows, possibly an office building, but it looks like that may be apartments or a hotel. We have just gotten information that that is a hotel. It is the Super 8 on Dixie Highway. The suspect is inside that, and police are inside looking for him. We have gotten word that the suspect is in custody. We're going to go to the newsroom where John Bowl is keeping us updated.
All right, get your bearings here. Let's set the stage. This is Dixie Highway. Here's the Super 8 in Radcliffe. You just saw the suspect bail out of his car and run in. Now let's take a live look from Air 3. A lot of times in these high-speed chases, you have innocent victims who are hit or endangered. Not the case in this situation, and they've got it under control. You take a live look there at the vehicle now. We dream up different ways of preparing for it. strung out on a bungee cord, going nowhere in a pool, hours at a time. We practice in the place where it all goes down, with an escort if we have to escape. But the truth is, there's no way to prepare for the swimming tsunami that starts the Ironman triathlon.
And there we go! Ironman Louisville 2015 underway. Go
Air temperature 45, water temperature 70. The Ohio River becomes a hot tub with too many people crammed in.
Wetsuits are for sissies, boys.
The first leg of the 140-mile Ironman triathlon has too many legs.
And there's a lot of kicking.
You're gonna get beat up, you're gonna get kicked in the head and everything. It's hard.
What must the fish be thinking? From the air, it looks more like a long stretch of salmon swimming upstream. From the sea, it feels like a 15-round fight when we keep getting punched in the head. A man drowned in the Ironman Louisville swim melee 4 years ago. A master's swim coach tells the athletes she trains to expect the worst and don't get discouraged.
And you're gonna get hit, you're gonna get kicked, and you just gotta be, the Ironman's all about dealing with it right on the spot and just, you know what, recover. You get it, you get hit, keep going.
After roughly 5,000 strokes, taking anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 hours, the salmon run is over, but still stacked up, trying to get out. Move on to the next leg, though the legs are staggering. Just think, 2.4 miles down, 138 more miles to go. John Bowl, Wave 3 News.
You're creating a religion in this office, and there is no religion for this.
As Rowan County Clerk Kim Davis sticks to her guns, claiming the sanctity of marriage, protesters ask why she's been married 4 times and why she still has a job despite defying a Supreme Court ruling.
County Clerk Kim Davis calls it a matter of faith, conscience, and liberty for which she has endured death threats, risking contempt or criminal charges, rather than resign. Outside, her supporters standing right at the entrance, same-sex marriage supporters on the left.
The shout-a-thon would begin hours before Clerk Kim Davis would make the same argument to Judge David Bunning that she gave for denying 3 Rowan County same-sex couples marriage licenses 2 days earlier.
Under God's authority. The crowd here was strong in their convictions, wanting only for their voices to be heard.
And we are here to support Kim and, most importantly, our risen Savior.
By bus, car, or church van, they streamed into Grayson, Kentucky, population 3,500. Hundreds, if not thousands, possibly close to doubling its size for the day. The signs and songs declare it. The purpose was a strong show of support for Kim Davis.
A cheering crowd, a presidential candidate, arms raised in victory. Good evening, I'm Shannon Kogan.
And I'm Scott Reynolds. Rowan County Clerk Kim Davis out of jail tonight. Her freedom turning into a rally this afternoon. On stage with her, presidential candidate Mike Huckabee, who even asked the judge to put him in jail instead. Davis thanking her supporters, but didn't say anything about her future plans.
Her attorney also there, and Wave 3 News reporter Natalia Martinez spoke with him. Natalia, is she going to continue her fight?
That's what everyone wants to know. Her attorney told me, though, that she's still thinking about it, that she hasn't made up her mind about whether she's going to allow her clerks to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples or not. Kim Davis walks free towards a crowd of hundreds of supporters.
Just keep on pressing. Don't let down, because he is here.
That is all Davis said about whether she'll continue her fight.
There wasn't a single moment of Jackson's life that Brian and Amanda Bayers missed. From the first time he crawled to Jackson just being Jackson.
I mean, it was just instant love at first sight.
Kitty. I felt like we had a whole different responsibility in our life, that we had the small child that we had to raise.
When Brian won his election for Spencer County Magistrate, Amanda and Jackson were by his side. Their little boy was growing, and so was his curiosity as he managed to get his hands on everything.
I worried every night I got home. I carry around change in my pocket. I would get down on my hands and knees and look for dimes or pennies that I might have dropped.
But it was what they didn't think of that changed their lives.
You always think that this can never happen to me, but it can.
On February 13th, Brian was getting ready to take Jackson to daycare. A cold morning, Dad went outside to warm up the truck and back it up to the house. He had no idea Jackson had somehow wandered outside too.
When I got out of the truck, I hopped out of the truck to run to the back door and hopped up on the stoop, and the back door was wide open.
Brian ran into the house, calling Jackson's name, and couldn't find him.
I went flying out the back door, and basically to see him on the driveway. And he had already been hit at that point in time, and well, I had backed over him. I never saw him at any point in time. Jackson was actually hit by the front wheels of the vehicle backing up. When the front wheels came back around, he essentially walked right into the side of the vehicle. I was quite hysterical. My son was killed instantly, and I called 911.
Knowing there was nothing that he could do to save Jackson, Brian called Amanda, who rushed home from work.
I immediately wanted to hold him, and I held him for hours, I think, and just kissed him and rocked him, and we took him back to his room, and I just kept saying, why?
Brian still doesn't know how Jackson opened the door that morning. What he could have done differently haunts him.
What if I had a backup camera on my vehicle? What if I had my window rolled down? I think, what if I didn't just pick my child up and carry him with me to move my car?
They never knew how common back-over and front-over accidents were until Jackson died. They took the brave step to talk about it, knowing Jackson would be proud of them.
If we can save one child's life by this and prevent one family from the kind of devastation that we have faced, that will be his legacy.
That and the 18 months Brian and Amanda felt blessed to be a part of. 1, 2, 3, go!
I miss holding him and hugging him and kissing him and just feeling that love. We know that Jackson's in heaven and he's with God.
With breaking news happening now, this is Wave 3 News.
And let's get to that breaking news story right now at 5. The Louisville basketball program rocked by allegations that a staffer paid women to have sex with players and recruits.
Some pretty shocking allegations here. Pat 40 reporting that alleged escort Katrina Powell will drop a bombshell book called Breaking Cardinal Rules, Basketball and the Escort Queen. The book allegedly contains hundreds of text messages between McGee and Powell, along with pictures of U of L players with escorts.
All right, Coach Pitino now speaking about the allegations involving U of L. Let's go right to him.
And when this first broke a month ago, I questioned everybody if anybody has even a little knowledge or hearsay or seen anybody. You know, your heart breaks when something like this happens because of the people you love and the program you love and the program you build and work.
At just more than 100 pages made up of diary entries by high school dropout and self-proclaimed escort queen Katrina Powell, just hours after its release, the book is the #1 selling sports memoir on Amazon.
She's a whore. She's interested in making money.
They drive each other into the ground even though they aren't old enough to drive. Middle school football players hitting with all the force their young bodies will dish out. At times, it's more punishment than you expect.
Afterwards, I was surprised that a middle schooler could do that much.
14-year-old Sean Harrison suffered a concussion on this hit. So is this a play?
Yes.
During an Adair County football game earlier this season.
And that's me.
Getting leveled right there.
Yeah.
And do you remember anything about that?
No.
The video was posted to YouTube by the family of the other player, a player who is listed at 6 feet tall and 245 pounds as an 8th grader. Sean's mom, shocked an 8th grader could be that big, wants changes to the rules and more protection for smaller players, worried other middle schoolers could also be at risk.
It's not only this boy, it's not what it's about. It's about big players and older players being with younger children.
Right now, there are no weight limits in Kentucky's public middle school football leagues. By contrast, Catholic middle schools do place some weight restrictions on football players, prohibiting anyone over 135 pounds from carrying the ball or even lining up in the backfield, marking the larger players' helmets with an X so officials know which ones are over the limit.
It seems with each subsequent decade, these kids are just getting bigger and faster and stronger.
Dr. Tad Seifert is director of Norton Healthcare's Sports Concussion Program. He says concussion rates among youth football players are on the rise, a result, Seifert says, of the increasing size disparity among middle schoolers.
That's the age group especially where you see such a disparity with size. You'll see one 6th grader that's 90 pounds, and you'll see another 6th grader that's 190 pounds, and yet they're playing against each other.
Seifert is calling on the Kentucky Middle School Football Association to adopt the same weight limits for ball carriers that Catholic schools have.
Having some safety measures, at least at that centerpiece of the game itself, I think makes some sense.
I just would have a hard time telling a kid you're too big to play a position in football.
Middle School Football Association board member Dan Syme said they recently adopted age limits to prevent players from repeating grades to have a size advantage. But he doesn't think weight limits are necessary.
It's a tough sport, and we're doing everything we can to make it safer. But you got to understand, in youth sports, they're not hitting as hard. They're not, I mean, they're still kids.
Sean Harrison says it didn't feel like he was playing a kid. Now he's out for a month, recovering from his concussion. His mom worries about who will be next.
There's more kids that are going to get hurt, and my fear they're going to get hurt worse.
Live from Center College in Danville, Kentucky, the 2015 Governor Debate.
Our moderator tonight is Wave 3 News anchor Scott Reynolds. He'll take it from here. Scott.
Thank you, Nancy. Our debate tonight will follow the classic format.
From Wave 3 News, this is the Kentucky Lieutenant Governor Debate.
I'd like to now introduce our panelists tonight. They're comprised of political news reporters here in town. Thousands of gifts donated to the Salvation Army Angel Tree program will soon be in the hands of children in Wave Country.
Wednesday was day one of the Angel Tree distribution day. You can see volunteers lined up.
Yeah. 10070.
Thank you, thank you.
There you go. Thank you.
It is overwhelming. I mean, the mountains and mountains of bags, but the public has been so generous this year that the quality of gifts is just unreal.
Hundreds of volunteers came out to help distribute the presents to families, including many of Wave 3's very own.
147. Very good.
I'm so happy. I'm so thankful. You know, God is so good. Like, real talk, real good. Because there's people out here that can't do this, you know, and come and get gifts like this. And I really appreciate every little bit of it. I really do.
To tell this story, I have to start at the end.
We called all of the volunteers that adored this horse, and they all came around, and we put him down that night, and it was amazing. And he was just relaxed, and he wasn't tense, and he wasn't stressed, and, you know, that was that.
The end of the line for thoroughbreds can come well past the finish line. He died because he tried to stop on a fly.
Yeah, a fly was bothering him, and we were walking him in, and he went like this to get the fly, and he broke his leg.
How old is a horse supposed to live? What is life
Well, that's a very good question, because nobody's really kept him as long as we have.
Thoroughbreds often live long past their breadwinning and breeding days.
He loves getting his picture taken.
But then what happens?
And I knew it was happening on a regular basis in America. I mean, every 2 weeks, the slaughter trucks would pull up in Suffolk Downs, pick up about 10 horses, and off they'd go. At first, they told me, I said, where are they going? Oh, yeah, they're going to a riding academy in Maine.
Michael Blowen went from Boston's stable worker,
and I saw everything. Get the game
to Boston Globe film critic.
One of the things I realized is that people like movie stars, and they like stars, and these horses are stars.
When he noticed the horse industry's aftercare program was rated PG for pretty gory, he became a retirement home director.
Can I have a kiss? Thanks. You're my favorite horse of all time.
This retirement home doesn't use walkers or canes, just carrots.
And this might be the most important part of my job.
You don't have to be Mr. Ed to quickly learn who the
Swan's Way will be happy now.
Old friends are.
Oh, and this is Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Stop it. So get me out of here. Your paddock's almost done. It'll be done tomorrow or the next day, and you'll be able to live out there.
Old Friends Farm started 11 years ago with one leased paddock and only 2 horses. Now they care for more than 150 horses, but there's one big problem. The waiting list to get in here is long.
You know, there are horses that have been on our waiting list for 8, 10 months, a year, and I really want to take them, but I just don't have the room. I mean, what really makes us decide is how much room do we have?
How do you decide?
It's terrible to have to decide.
Really?
Yeah. Because
It's easy to decide to rescue horses like Swan's Way,
Hey, Swanee, what's going on?
who was still being raced at the age of 15.
The answer why they were doing it is because they were crazy. That's the answer, because there's no logical, rational explanation for this horse. Because I'm coming back. See, Jerry wants more carrots. He's getting mad now.
It's easy to rescue the rich and famous.
He's 20, I want to say 25. He's
How'd you get him?
25. Bert gave him to us.
Burt Backrack?
Mm-hmm. And Bert sent us a check for 50 grand.
It's tougher to rescue Eldifer,
There's Yahoo and Google.
who comes with 2 goats.
He adores the goats, and the goats adore him. And they're like the Secret Service, and he's like the president.
Some are champions, some never won a race. The horses come from all over the world.
And we brought him home from Italy. He was living in an abandoned monastery.
In Italy.
In Italy.
The visitors come from all over the world.
I'm horsey.
She's horsey, so
it had to, I found it on the internet and we had to come. The fact that somebody's taking care of the retired racehorses, because it's a real big issue, both in England and over here, you know, and they're sort of the forgotten animals.
Michael Blowen didn't forget.
That's why I identify with these horses. My racing and breeding career is over too.
The best movie he never reviewed is showing all around him.
Ah, stop it. It's my new shirt. Jeez.
And it's just a charismatic old folks home. In Georgetown, John Boll, Wave 3 News.
New at 11.
A third body pulled from the Ohio River days after a tragic holiday boating accident.
Wind gusts leaving $250 million of aging bourbon in Bardstown exposed to the elements.
But when you first look at it, I mean, it's, yeah, you kind of get taken back a little bit.
An eye in the sky saving lives as history goes up in flames.
Which could, you know, help us with pulling our people back before something tragic happens.
We'll give you a bird's eye view inside the Whiskey Row fire.
Danger and confusion for cyclists in Metro Louisville. What are the laws and do they even matter? Wave 3 News at 11 starts right now.
With breaking news happening now, this is Wave 3 News.
That breaking news at 11, a pedestrian has been killed after a car hit him on Bardstown Road just south of the Gene Snyder. This happened about 9:30 tonight. This happened at Bardstown Road and Ichabod Drive. It's unclear at this point if the man was trying to cross the street or was walking in the road. But the victim is described as an elderly white male. Both lanes will be shut down for the next 3 hours as crews investigate what happened, and we will have more for you on Wave 3 News mobile app and Wave 3 News Sunrise. We thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Shannon Kogan.
And I'm Scott Reynolds. More breaking news right now. Rescue crews pulling another body out of the Ohio River days after a holiday boating accident killed 5. Police tell us tonight the body of a young female was pulled from the water near the Mill Creek power plant off Dixie Highway. That was just after 8 tonight. The coroner not confirming whether this is the body of Wee Wee Swinney after the bodies of Denal Swinney and also Joyce Wright were found in the river this week.
Wave 3 News reporter Casey Cunningham joining us live tonight from Mill Creek Power Plant, and family members say they have a vigil planned for later this week. Casey.
That's right, Shannon. Family and friends taking to social media to say the vigil will be held here right next to Joe's Crab Shack on the waterfront at 6 p.m. on Thursday. Now that all 5 people have been accounted for, it will honor their lives and their memories that as they suffered from this deadly accident. I want to pull up some video now because right now we are not aware of the identity of the 2 people that were found today. But the mother of the missing girl posted to Facebook thanking everyone for their efforts in helping to find her daughter. Friends also posting to say they believe the missing woman found earlier today was Joyce Wright. Of course, that is not confirmed yet, but friends taking to social media to say they believe the missing woman found around noon was Joyce. Now, backing up to Saturday, that was when Mark and Donald Sweeney were found that night of the accident here at the waterfront, and then Denal Sweeney found late last night. Now officials say the body of the girl found was 8 miles down the road near the Mill Creek power plant. Of course, during this whole search and rescue efforts, they've been saying that the river conditions making it really tough in this discovery. Live in Louisville, Casey Cunningham, Wave 3 News.
And heavy winds giving a historic and heavenly distillery a new look tonight.
The National Weather Service says winds of about 95 miles per hour created some serious damage. This was at the Heaven Hill Distillery in Bardstown. Wave 3 News reporter Connie Leonard joining us with more on what happened at that big bourbon property.
Yeah, guys, well, one roof is gone, another damaged as the National Weather Service blames a microburst that hit 2 warehouses just after 3:30 this afternoon.
I mean, when you first roll upon it and you see your warehouse roof, basically folded up into multiple pieces.
From high above Heaven Hill in Air 3, the images show just how powerful Tuesday's winds actually were at the famed Bardstown Distillery.
It kind of came out of nowhere.
Master distiller Denny Potter says in a matter of minutes, guards were running inside, alerting everyone to the stunning damage. A roof completely taken off the company's O warehouse, and the P warehouse roof was half gone.
Immediately ran outside and started checking out what exactly happened.
Surprising because the storm rolled in and out so fast. Still, it is something that happens occasionally with bourbon warehouses, and at Heaven Hill, they have 51.
Our warehouses are pretty old. The 2 that were damaged tonight were both built in the 70s. So.
Both hold about 19,000 barrels. They had a little damage last year with some wind, but it was nothing like this. A decent distance from the bottling plant, so luckily no one was hurt. As for the bourbon, it appears it's okay too.
Because we have over 1.1 million barrels in storage, but if I had to guess, the majority of it's bourbon, probably with a little bit of rye whiskey or some of our wheated whiskey as well.
We asked Potter about the 2006 storm that left a warehouse at Buffalo Trace without a roof and a wall. It was well documented that the light and breezeway created a surprisingly unique and well-reviewed bourbon there.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's no question without a roof, you're going to get probably some of the best airflow.
Potter laughed. Sunlight and airflow are fine, but here they prefer a roof to keep all the moisture away from their bourbon. And Potter hopes to get inside to inspect the barrels tomorrow. As for the roof repairs, Heaven Hill has experienced contractors, and they should have the work finished in the next couple of weeks. Scott?
Thanks, Connie. It took a lot longer to repair the damage at Heaven Hill back in November of '96. Remember this? A fire that started in an old warehouse spread around the complex. And I was there as some 90,000 barrels went up in flames. And 2 miles of the stream providing water for Heaven Hill turned actually into a river of fire.
And I actually covered that story too at that time, and never forget the smell right in the air.
It
so
was
intense.
Powerful.
Yeah,
and that took
was.
forever to burn out. The damage today in Bardstown was caused by intense wind, but this was not a tornado.
And survey crews from the National Weather Service at the distillery earlier this evening, they say, as Connie mentioned, it was a microburst. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harnett here with how strong those winds were.
Yeah, 95 miles per hour were the estimated wind speeds of that storm, happening just before 3:30. A matter of fact, on the radar, we narrowed it down to about 3:28 for that microburst time, and it occurred at that point 1 mile south of Bardstown, right over the distillery, which is on a little bit of an elevation, and you can see the 95 mile per hour winds. This is just a localized column of sinking air. That's what a microburst is, pushes down. This was the radar view at about 3:30 this afternoon. You can see that storm approaching Bardstown. Since then, a few spotty showers have been around. Outside of that, many areas have remained dry. Not the case in in southern Jefferson County this hour. We have a few downpours going on from Okolona over to Fairdale, moving toward Fern Creek and Mount Washington as well. As we check out what to expect through the next 24 hours, the flush flood watch remains intact. We still have more rain to deal with, maybe even for your morning commute. We're going to talk much more about the flash flood watch, how much rain we expect, coming up in just a couple minutes.
All right, maybe a few straight dry days coming sometime. Anyway, thanks, Kevin. A dozen firefighters tonight still putting out hot spots at historic Whiskey Row in downtown Louisville. The fire extinguished, but still concerned that walls there could collapse. The fire putting the brakes on the 111 Whiskey Row project, which includes restaurant and apartment space and some offices. That part of West Main still closed because of the danger there.
And the question that everyone wants to know, are those cast iron facades going to be saved? And for that, we turn to Wave 3 News reporter Natalia Martinez, out with inspectors today. She joins us live. And how are the structures holding up, Natalia?
Well, the face of Whiskey Row is still in limbo. Inspectors were only able to do a visual inspection today. That means that they weren't able to actually go inside of the building to take a look at how it's doing. They climbed into a bucket that was able to lift them all the way up towards the roof. The fire chief told me that they still need some time to make sure that the fire is completely extinguished before they can allow the inspectors to go into the structures. So we may be looking at about a week to know if the facades will be able to be saved. Meanwhile, the fire chief was trying to catch his breath today. About 12 firefighters were left behind to keep an eye on those hot spots. But I also got a chance to meet the newest member of the firefighting team, which has a serial number and not a badge. Up in the sky, helping fight the fire. This is a view of the Whiskey Row Inferno that no firefighter could ever get.
Which could, help us with pulling our people back before something tragic happens.
This is video taken by Louisville Fire's newest member.
This is the main drone unit, and we also have an additional spare in each kit.
Comes with a GoPro, a thermal, and an infrared camera. Plus, it's got 3 others built in, all pointing in different angles.
Straight ahead, 45, and straight down.
A collapsed roof, spreading flames, and hot spots are all things this drone can keep its eyes on. The batteries last about half an hour. Firefighters track it and its images on this screen.
It's a valuable tool for us to be able to do assessments.
These bad boys cost about $23,000 each, paid for by a grant. They were quickly put to use at the 2nd Street fire and then on the 4th of July, searching for survivors of a capsized boat.
This will pick up heat signatures. We used this during the river accident.
There are always 2 firefighters on staff trained to use them. There are some holdbacks. It can't fly in heavy winds, and it's kind of tricky to use, like at Whiskey Row when it almost landed on the mayor's head.
Well, the first few times flying, it's a little nerve-wracking,
Still, Major Fredrickson says he only sees more departments dishing out on drones.
Further technology helping the fire service, so, we're willing to work with it.
The pilot of the drone that had that close encounter with the mayor was teased about it, the major told me. He says that other departments nearby, including in Indiana, are also looking at the possibility of purchasing drones. Reporting live, Natalia Martinez, Wave 3 News.
Really does give you a different perspective, Natalia. Thanks. And we have much more on the Whiskey Row fire on wave3.com and the Wave 3 News mobile app. Look for the box marked Whiskey Row Blaze right on our homepage.
A life or death decision for Elizabethtown police officers who say they shot a man who came at them with a knife. It happened around 1 this afternoon when a woman told 911 she noticed a man following her. When officers showed up, the man did something investigators say was aggressive, and the officers shot him. The suspect taken to the hospital. Police tell us the man did have a knife. Both officers now on leave, which is standard operating procedure. And it's upsetting news to about 75 children and their families who use the Algonquin Park pool and its playground.
Metro Parks officials say the only outdoor public pool in West Louisville will be closed for at least 7 to 10 days. Sometime Saturday night into Sunday, vandals set off fireworks in the pool area and on the playground too. In the playground alone, $8,000 worth of damage was done. A slide burned off and the pool had to be drained today.
Big. These aren't small bottle rockets. I mean, these are things that go up 40, 50, 60 feet, big booms, then they litter the pool. But unfortunately, they took bottles and they broke them. And the bottles were all over the pool deck, in the swimming pool.
And luckily, the damage did not impact the expensive pump or the filtration system. But now 600,000 gallons of water will have to be put back in that pool. If you know anything about who did this, call police.
Still ahead here, sharing the road or maybe not. Our John Bowl takes it to the street to show just how close it comes sometimes between bike and car and tries to clear up confusion on who has the right of way.
I'm Kat Taylor. Coming up later in sports, we'll hear from 2 area youth basketball players who are ranked in the top 20 nationally, and they're 8 years old.
Wind and rain today, more on the way for tomorrow before a drier weekend forecast. Will we warm up by then? The answer in the 7-day breakdown. Straight ahead.
From judges to police officers to motorists to the cyclists themselves, we've noticed a lot of confusion these days over where bikes are actually supposed to be on the roads.
And that's not good with so many more people biking this summer. John Bowl gets us some answers and teaches us something at the same time.
It's a question thousands of us have to answer every day. Where am I supposed to ride my bike if there isn't a bike lane? Out here in the middle of the lane? Over on the far right? Off the road on the shoulder? Or up here on the sidewalk? The answer is literally a matter of life or death. Cars are stacked up behind Cherokee Shill. She's used to it. She rides in the middle of the lane and she reads the regulations.
KRS 189.3406A, it says you shall occupy as much of your lane as possible.
Biking 18 miles each way to work near Lexington, she's been stopped a lot. Officer number 1.
He said, you're not doing anything wrong.
Officer number 2.
He pulled out his book. He's like, look, I'm going to show you what the law says. So we started to read the statute together. And I said, you know, and we're going through it. And he stopped halfway through it. And I said, no, it continues. And so we read it all the way through to the end. And he kind of stopped. And he looked at it and he looks at the road.
Other officers took a stand, citing her 7 times for careless driving.
They had it in their mind that I was doing something wrong, and they were going to cite me.
Shill went to trial on all 7 at once and even had a leading bike advocate for her lawyer. Still, the judge ruled she should have ridden on the road shoulder instead of on the roadway. She lost. Chips Cronin lost too. Lost his life.
Threw him into this girder right here.
Knocked by this van into girder 55 on the 2nd Street Bridge, pedaling home on the right side of the right lane.
Had he been claiming his lane, or had he been on the sidewalk, that he would be alive, but he followed the rules of the road. So he was in the right. Unfortunately, he was dead right.
Kentucky law says a bicyclist is no different from a motorist. Has to obey the same traffic rules. Can't use the sidewalk because they can surprise drivers. Can't ride more than 2 abreast. As a slower moving vehicle, has to drive as closely as practical to the right-hand boundary. And when there's more than 1 lane in each direction, can get out and claim the lane. Problem is,
whoa, that guy almost got me.
There's a big difference between the regulations and reality. There's a lot of confusion and road rage out here on the streets, but this time, I have a camera. Kentucky law says passing cars have to be at least 3 feet away. When I ride as far to the right as I can, vehicles like this miss me by inches. When I get out there and claim my lane, it gets worse. When people pulling trailers go by, they forget about the trailers when they pass and cut me off. On River Road, a key artery under public debate right now, cars and trucks often refuse to move over. When I ask other cyclists what they do, their answers vary.
Claim my lane, you know, because I hate to do that to other people, but you can't let somebody cut you that close. People are crazy. They don't like bicycles, and I definitely try to stay as far right as I can.
This is the reason why the law says to ride as closely as practical to the right. The right side of the road is often an unrideable, potholed mess. Or you get slapped by bushes and trees. And road shoulders, where Cherokee Shill was told to ride, often have rumble strips and busted glass. Extra lanes don't help. As far over to the right as I can get, with another lane to my left. Side swipes continue. Again, on the far right of the far right lane.
Whoa!
Some refuse to move over. This white box truck literally scrapes me.
Whoa!
So it's like we have this complete lack of knowledge of what is actually safe on a public right-of-way.
And while Cherokee Shill was cited 7 times for careless driving between Nicholasville and Lexington, guess how many times Louisville police have ticketed cyclists in the past 7 years? You're looking at it. Once, blowing a stop sign in 2011. John Bull, Wave 3 News.
John was so brave to get that video to demonstrate how close the cars come.
One citation? 2011?
It's surprising. It really is.
And then when
we
they're
have so many cyclists
in the road, a lot of people will pass on the double yellow because the bicyclists might be going 12 or 13 miles an hour, and, well, you don't see traffic. So there's other laws. I mean, it just creates a lot of stuff going on out there.
Well, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harnett is joining us right now, and tough to get out there really to do any riding today with all that rain, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely need the rain gear, and not only today, but the next couple of days, it looks like, if you're headed out on the bikes. You'll see across the area even tonight a few downpours south of J-Town, not far from Middletown, looking just north of Fern Creek. This area is moving off to the east. We'll be passing by eastern Jefferson County, moving over into Shelby. Spencer County seeing some rain. Taylorsville, you're seeing it, even over into parts of northern Nelson County, some light rain. A few other downpours dotting the radar. All in all, it's scattered tonight, and the same story as today for tomorrow. As we look at what to expect, we're going to see these scattered showers and thunderstorms. Where it rains, it comes down heavy and hard, and that's why we have the flash flood watch in place until 8 p.m. tomorrow. Already have a pretty saturated ground. We've picked up over an inch of rain in a number of areas today, and this precipitation shield spreads all the way back out to our west. So how much rain today? 94 hundredths, just under an inch in Louisville. Jasper, Indiana picking up 1.54 inches of rain. And it's not just the rain. Some of these thunderstorms contain some pretty good winds. Out of Rineyville, Bobby's sending in this. That tree completely toppled over. And you can see other trees that have just been stripped off. Wind speeds of 50 to 60 miles per hour doing damage to trees and roofs alike. Those shingles are bent upward. And you can see, of course, the damage down in Bardstown. 95-mile-per-hour winds with that microburst. That column of air, it just sinks and falls to the ground fast, doing quite a bit of damage, as we saw at Heaven Hill Distilleries. Outside around Kentuckiana, a much calmer picture tonight. It's 74 degrees now. We hit that high of 81 today. That was below average. We should be in the upper 80s for this time of year. Not going to be there again tomorrow, it looks like, with temperatures tonight in the 60s and 70s. The bulk of the rain is now south of the Ohio River and pushing off to the east. With that said, more rain to our west gradually moves in throughout the day tomorrow. I think we have some rain in the morning. We'll see a brief break, but then a return to showers and thunderstorms. Some could be heavy at times as we head into tomorrow afternoon and evening once again. The risk of severe weather is marginal, and it's back out to our west. Tonight's low 70. We'll see the scattered downpours, the patchy fog. The flash flood watch continues throughout the day tomorrow. Once again, scattered storms, heavy rain at times. Tomorrow's high 84 degrees. We're back to 84 on Thursday. The rain chance is going down. Temperatures by Saturday and Sunday climb back near 90 degrees. We'll be in the upper 80s flanking the weekend. That means Friday and then again Monday and Tuesday. But rain chances will be with us on those days as well. So perhaps the pick of the 7 days, Saturday and Sunday.
Well timed at least. Thanks.
Right. All right, Kent's joining us now with the latest in sports.
Yeah, still ahead here at 11. You remember when we used to think that it was crazy that there were recruiting rankings for 8th graders? Well, Damon Bailey has nothing on these 2 Louisville kids. They're in the national rankings. I'll tell you how old they are next in sports. Fans around here know all about recruiting rankings. But did you know that they are starting younger and younger? At least they are at the website coasttocoastpreps.com.
My name is Jacoby McRoberts, and I'm 8 years old, and I weigh 70 pounds, and I'm 4 foot 8.5.
I'm Cole Edlin. I am 8 years old. I'm 4'5", and I weigh 69 pounds.
They are 8 years old, but this week they both landed a spot in the top 25 national rankings. Yes, they do rank kids who just finished 2nd grade. Jacoby is 11th, and Cole 16th.
I was actually surprised.
Why?
Because I think I worked hard, and I think I should have got a better ranking. So I'm trying to get top 10 or top 5.
I was shocked. I was excited.
As the game has evolved, they start younger and younger now, trying to detect talent, and I just think it's the wave of the time.
James Schuler is the director and co-founder of Go Hard in the Paint, an area youth basketball program with 22 teams and over 370 student athletes. He says these two kids can handle that newfound attention.
Well, we try to teach our athletes just to have humility, to understand the business of basketball, that you could be ranked in second grade, but you must continue to work hard every day, you know, in order to stay there.
Hard work is the constant. It's what has pushed these two onto the national radar.
The rankings are cool, and I think they get a smile over them, but none of them take it to the head and let it blow up their head.
So you're better than Cole, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Where are you going to go to college? Who's recruiting you?
I'm going to go to Kentucky.
Oh, you're ready? It's done?
Yeah, I'm going to Kentucky.
Why?
Because that's how I always liked Kentucky. I was born a Kentucky fan. That's all.
You thinking one and done?
Yeah, one and done.
Probably, yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
Give him time. He'll learn more about the process. Great kids and a bright future for those two. Up next, Bats fans get to watch a rehabbing Red. Bats open a 3-game homestand tonight against Indianapolis, and Tony Cingrani on the mound rehabbing a sore shoulder. He struck out 4 Indians in his 3 innings of 2-hit ball. Looking good, and he got some support from AAA All-Star Irving Falou, who scored on the fielder's choice in the first. Bats win the opener of the series 3-2. Same 2 teams tomorrow night at 7:05. Now for Kent's highlight of the night, NBA Summer League action in Orlando. Former guard Russ Smith with a floater in the lane, a game winner in what was sudden death double overtime. Smith and the Grizzlies knock off Peyton Siva and the Magic. So, yeah, sudden death. You don't see that too often in basketball, but you do in NBA Summer League.
That gets it over quick, huh?
I'm feeling a lot of stress after the story about the 8-year-olds.
Yeah, you know, their team just finished 7th in a national tournament in Maryland, and I think that's where they saw a lot of these kids. So,
amazing.
Yeah, Jacoby and Cole.
Talented kids, and parents everywhere are now thinking we're so far behind.
Get in the gym.
Oh, the pressure.
We'll be right back.
Kent, I've seen you get beat before on the court, but getting schooled by 8-year-olds.
We played them 2-on-2. Danny Edlin, Cole's dad. We beat them.
You beat them?
Oh, yeah, we beat the 8-year-olds.
Oh, that's horrible.
How cruel are you?
That's something
that
to
may
brag
be a
about.
first.
I don't know.
Video tomorrow.
To make them better, aren't you, Kent?
Have a great night.
Now, with Wave3.com and the Wave3 News mobile app, you always have breaking news and breaking weather right where you are. Brought to you by Case Foundation Repair and Waterproofing Systems. Put a local pro on the case.